just ahead on Daily Iowan TV.
About 3 years ago, the Iowa City Council voted to limit the number of bars downtown, but yet more bars continue to come in. More about this up next.
Tickets and free tuition? Find out how the university is packing the football stadium this season out of their pocket.
And in sports, Kirk Ferentz and company are at it again for the first press conference of the season. All that and more is coming your way. Daily Iowan TV starts now.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Anna Theodosis.
And I'm Katrina Doe.
University of Iowa President Sally Mason addressed issues of student safety today at the first press conference of the school year. Following the evacuation of Slater Hall on Sunday due to toxic chemicals, President Mason says she hopes to focus on all the great things happening on campus rather than the mistakes of just a couple of students.
In my mind, sets the wrong tone. That's not what we're about. That's not who we are.
President Mason also spoke about binge drinking and sexual assault. She said programs are constantly added and adapted to meet the needs of students. This year, she hopes to bring student binge drinking down below the national average for the first time in years.
A massive crowd of students and community members lined Clinton Street to satisfy their hunger this afternoon. The Iowa City Poncheros held their annual Dollar Burrito Day from 2 to 4 p.m., making downtown nearly impossible to walk through.
Many new storefronts and bars have been appearing in Iowa City lately. Our own Greta Miley spoke with a city councilor on how and if those new establishments will change the environment of downtown.
An ordinance aiming to minimize the impact of the drinking crowd downtown was passed in 2009 by the Iowa City Council and prohibits new drinking establishments, bars or restaurants open between midnight and 2 a.m., from opening within 500 feet of one another.
I think too many people were seeing, too many bars and not enough other businesses, restaurants to kind of incorporate a different theme in downtown.
New establishments have been consistently popping up in the downtown Iowa City area, such as this European boutique and a pizza parlor that will be taking the place of the Tobacco Bowl.
But while some new storefronts like these will diversify the downtown scape, some new venues are suspected to be, or are, bars. This raises the question of how strictly and to what extent the ordinance has left its intended influence.
Well, because of the requirement, I mean, it does set a standard as far as not having, so many bars in a particular distance based on that standard. But I don't think by any means City Council was trying to regulate overall business.
The original goal was to help stimulate the economy and to influence the number and types of residents who chose to live downtown. And Botchway says with the combination of this vision and the 21 ordinance, that goal has continued to be achieved.
It's moved from more of a college or just a college atmosphere to something that I think incorporates a lot of different elements of nightlife. You have your family that can spend a little bit more time downtown. You have an older crowd coming back in, and you have some more of the senior residents who had initially not wanted to spend a lot of time in the downtown area, coming back and wanting to participate because of the different things that are going on.
New storefronts in Iowa City include Burrito, Sicily, and a Japanese hibachi grill. Greta Miley, Daily Iowan TV.
Thanks, Greta. One of those Iowa City establishments, Burrito, had its soft opening in mid-August, and its grand opening will happen in September.
Some students might have to change their way of getting to classes soon. CAN bus routes are disappearing from the CAN bus schedule due to a lack of drivers. Recently, the organization was forced to cut buses traveling to the Studio Arts building. The Assistant Director of Management Services credited the lack of drivers to student drivers from last year failing to return. Most CAN buses are now advertising a position for $11 per hour to help find drivers.
Hawkeye football fans will kick off this season with the annual Fry Fest to celebrate Hawkeye Pride this Friday. The schedule was announced today. Starting at 9 a.m., fans will attempt a record for the largest cornhole tournament. Then a panel discussion for quarterbacks of Hayden Fry will be hosted by Phil Hattie shortly after the world's largest Hawkeye trade show takes place. Concert performers will feature Drake McVeigh and Craig Campbell before headliner David Nail at 8:30.
By the end of this year, Iowa City Police will be getting an upgrade. The department hopes to have a camera for every officer. Police Chief Diane Venenga of North Liberty said, quote, "They are not only a benefit to the officers' evidence collection, memory recall, and testimony, it's also a benefit to the community." The UI Police Division was the first in this area to have body cameras. Those were brought in 2 years ago.
And still to come on tonight's show, doing your nails could help prevent date rape.
And coming up in sports, a one-on-one interview with wide receiver Jacob Hilliard. But first, we're going to hand it over to Taylor Smith in the weather studio. The humidity this week has been nearly unbearable. Taylor, will this heat ever let up?
Thanks, Anna. Unfortunately, no. We won't be getting a cool-off this week, but don't forget your umbrellas because we might be getting wet. To start off your hump day tomorrow morning, we will experience a high of 84 degrees with mostly cloudy skies. You might even want a light jacket for tomorrow afternoon. You'll be getting a break from the heat with temperatures falling into the mid-60s. Tomorrow evening is going to be a beautiful night, dry and clear skies. Students, don't let tomorrow's weather fool you, though, because Thursday we will experience a typical summer day with temps in the mid to upper 80s during the day, while thunderstorms roll in into the evening. For the remainder of the week, you can expect the same, high in the upper 80s with occasional thunderstorms accumulating to the afternoon. Stay tuned this week to get your first game day forecast. Back to you guys at the desk.
Now it's time for our weekly Street Chatter, where we go out and talk to students about current issues in our community.
With the Hawkeyes taking the field for the first time this weekend, the university wants to make sure students are there. Administration held a free tuition raffle that would give the winner free school tuition for 1 year at the in-state rate.
But now the rules have changed. Instead of having to buy season tickets, students submit their names to be put in the raffle. We sent out our own Nick Fisher to see what students had to say about the raffle.
Personally, I don't think it's completely fair because honestly, some people are already paying for their full tuition and stuff and necessarily can't afford football tickets.
I don't think it was going to be that much of an incentive to me or anybody else to go to the games if they weren't already.
I think that other people should get free tuition based off grades or merit, or if they're in financial aid versus just trying to promote Iowa football.
Seems like 4 or 5 years ago they were selling out every game, and you would have to get student tickets really early even to get them, and now they're not bribing but providing an incentive. So I hope all is well with it, you know. I think I would rather see some of that tuition money going to people who actually need it.
4 college students have discovered an unconventional way to help prevent date rape by using nail polish. According to the Washington Post, students from North Carolina State University created a nail polish that changes color in the presence of common date rape drugs. To see if a drug has been slipped into her drink, a woman can discreetly stir the drink with her finger.
One candidate for the U.S. Senate understands the challenges college students face. Joni Ernst announced recently she will work to create legislation to ensure that sexual crimes in the military are both investigated and prosecuted. For more political news, go to dailyiowan.com or read the Ethics and Politics Initiative in the Daily Iowan.
There is a lot to learn as a new student at the university, especially as an incoming freshman. Our own Taylor Smith is continuing her weekly series of senior advice. Today she went out to ask seniors about buying textbooks.
When you buy your books, do you prefer to rent them or do you prefer to buy them, and why?
I prefer to buy them because I'm forgetful and I forget to turn them back on the deadline, so I prefer to buy them.
Where do you prefer to get your books from?
Iowa Book, because they have a better selection than the Hawk Shop.
Be sure to tune in tomorrow where Taylor will be asking seniors for their secret study spots on campus.
Now let's toss it over to Danny Payne and Jalen Socek, who have everything we need to know from today's press conference. Guys?
That's right, Katrina. Today was the first of Kirk Ferentz's weekly press conferences for the football season. I'm Jalen Socek.
And I'm Danny Payne. Now, Jalen, a lot to talk about leading up to the season home opener against Northern Iowa, but first, some sad news from Ferentz to start things off.
That's right, Danny. Ferentz started the conference with news that junior defensive tackle Darian Cooper underwent a season-ending surgery on his knee this Monday.
Darian Cooper did undergo knee surgery yesterday. He's had some knee issues for the past year and was able to play in the bowl game despite some of those issues and just hasn't been able to push forward. So that was addressed yesterday. We don't expect him to play this year. A tremendous young guy, and it's hard anytime anybody loses time for an injury, and Darian joins Adam Cox on that front, so certainly we're, feel bad about that.
The team's depth in the defensive interior is definitely in question, as Iowa will now have to rely heavily on sophomore Jaleel Johnson, a third stringer.
Senior defensive tackle Carl Davis says it's time for the younger guys, like Johnson, to step it up.
Cooper, he was a big loss. He was a guy that come in, gave us a lot of energy, and he made some plays when he came in. He was a guy, he knew what he was doing. He had a lot of experience. He played a lot, and we just lost some experience. And we got younger guys that got to step up.
How the team is preparing to take on the Panthers for their first game at Kinnick Stadium this season, was another hot topic today.
With UNI's consistent and big offense, Ferentz believes Iowa's defense has their work cut out for them.
I haven't done the numbers, but I'm guessing they got a bigger line than we do. Just most people do. And although the sheriff might be tilting the deal a little bit, but these guys are big. They've got big guys up front, and more importantly, they're very well coached. And the thing I'll go back to just a year ago, if you look at their opening ball game, which I did in week 2 of last year or 3, whatever it was, and I was just so impressed with the execution, the level of execution that they displayed in their first game. And you take the guys up front that block like these guys do, and then throw a very talented, experienced quarterback, another quarterback that's very dangerous, and a running back who's good, and good receivers. I mean, we got a heck of a challenge on our hands defensively right now.
One player who Ferentz is looking to help on the defensive side of things, senior linebacker Quentin Alston.
Our football reporter Chelsea Brown caught up with the linebacker earlier today.
Hey guys, Chelsea Brown here alongside linebacker Quentin Alston. And I know, Quentin, every year is obviously a transitional year, but Kirk said in his press conference that a lot of experience on the defense side. After camp and everything, what's your outlook on the defense?
I feel like we're a really aggressive defense. You're going out there and playing with instinct, and I just tell these guys each and every day, if you mess up, just tell them it's my fault. I'm the middle linebacker. I'll take the heat for it. So just go out there and play fast. That's all I want you to do.
And obviously some former Hawkeyes you're going to see, running back Sparkley Hill and Michael Malloy. How do you got to deal with that friendly competition?
When it hits the field, we don't have any friends out there. As soon as you put that helmet on, it's purely business. It's focus, and we're just trying to come out with a W. So that friendship they can put on hold until after the game. But up until then, we're opponents right now. We're foes. So we're just going out there trying to get this W.
And how important is it not only winning your first game just for record-wise, but also for the team's confidence? How important is that?
The first step, regardless of the year, we need that first win. It's it's a good step in the right direction, and ultimately, every team in the Big Ten, every team in the country is to win a championship. So you can't win a championship without first, getting that first step. So we're just going out there, be confident, just hopefully come out there with a W.
All right. Well, thank you, Quentin, and back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks for that, Chelsea. And before we leave, we have some news on a couple of former Hawkeyes.
That's right, Danny. Quarterback Cody Sokol was a 5th-year transfer from Iowa to Louisiana Tech, and it was just announced that he'll be the starter for the Bulldogs in their opener against Oklahoma this Saturday. Sokol redshirted at Iowa in 2012 and saw action in 1 game in 2013, but it didn't record any stats.
A.J. Derby is another former Hawkeye who is seeing his name on a depth chart as well. Derby left the program back in January of 2012 after a reluctant move to the linebacker position from quarterback. He transferred to Arizona with 1 year left of eligibility and is now listed as the Razorbacks starting tight end for their home opener against Auburn.
Well, that's all we have time for tonight, unfortunately, but be sure to check us out tomorrow for a sit-down interview with the new head soccer coach, David Diani.
Katrina, Anna, back to you.
And only with Daily Iowan TV can you get a sneak peek at tomorrow's pages of the Daily Iowan. One Iowa City business is trying to gain exemption from the 21 ordinance, the Trumpet Blossom Cafe. Find out how and why in tomorrow's Daily Iowan.
And 2 UI students are bonding over badminton. Find out how their relationship developed despite worlds of difference in Alyssa Guzman's story. That's all we have for you tonight. Catch up with us tomorrow night at the same time or anytime online at dailyiowan.com. Have a great night.